Hello YouTube, Damo_23 here, and welcome back to another episode of Better Than Potter. Here in episode number 19, we start season 3, but in a weird spot. It's only a few days after the season's ended, and the FA Cup has barely been played. Main reason why I've come back is me and the Twitch chat after the end of the season, we've been live for an hour and 50 minutes. We've had a bit of chat about tactics. I've come up with something that's a little bit exciting and something that I want to preach to you before pre-season, so then we can look through pre-season and look at any transfers we make to maybe improve the squad. And that might be this episode, just a little bit of a precursor to season 3 actually beginning with gameplay. We obviously had a really good year last year. Do check out the episode because it was a cracking and pretty drama-filled final couple of days of the season. And thank you yet again for all the support that we've been getting over on the YouTube. We had a subscription during this Twitch stream on the YouTube. Get your subscriptions in. A lot of you guys watching this aren't subscribed. It helps grow the channel. More importantly, leave a comment about what you would do and do you think this system will work. If you ever want to watch the content live, Damo_23, I do stream my own time. I am planning some double uploads as I will be away this weekend playing poker. My Damo_23 poker account is still up to date there. But more importantly, get some double uploads to catch up to the stream and the YouTube catching up together. It also means the full game could be out by the time I come back, but I am actually planning to play a couple more seasons at Brighton before starting my main save, because to be quite fair, I think there's a lot of traction here with this football club. Or I move this to a, dual stream, dual content, but we'll get on with that in a second. We'll just get on with the rest of this episode and worry about when the full game comes out. We had a good year, but we've had a chat. If you ever want to watch the VOD back, I do publish them. They do sit live for 20 days. So if you want to just watch the tactical side of the thinking behind it, the really in-depth thinking, think about an hour and 40, hour and 30 into the stream after we don't finish in Europe. Go and have a watch. We've loaded into the 4-2-3-1 with 2 DMs. It's a copy of the aggressive 4-1-2-1-2. But we've made some tweaks and some changes to some roles. We've made some tweaks and some changes to the system. Firstly, you can see here, it's 2 DMs with a centre attacking mid, 2 wing back, 2 inverted, 2 wingers, a striker, a normal 4-2-3-1. DMs look like they're the way to go this year. I've tried to play a 4-2-3-1 with 2 centre mids, and we got pumped in a couple of games last year, but a lot of people are having a lot of success with 2 DMs. Secondly, the main reason of doing this is we had a notepad up, and we still got it up here. These are our best players, but where can they play? McAllister has to play in a 10. You saw it in last episode. His best role is here. He has to play there. Andreas loves it out wide on the left, is as good in the 10. Joe Geldhard is, on paper, our best striker with Alvarez, and he's best in the pressing forward. Saucedo and Thuram best play together as a midfield 2, or in part of that diamond. Scally at right back's one of our best. Alto's been fantastic in goals. And then it's all about where can you fit Alvarez, because on paper, he's a pretty fantastic footballer that really didn't get to play enough, or, didn't get to start enough, as it was only 8 starts, 7 off the bench this season since we brought him in. The way you do that is you get him into a 4-2-3-1, because it allows McAllister to play in the 10, Andreas to play wide, Joe to play in his favourite position, and Alvarez to play in a very weird inside forward sort of way. What we've done is some player roles and the instructions. We've got instructions first. Idea is balanced because we'll micromanage the games. And instead of playing shorter and higher tempo, gone standard, we have a higher tempo with standard attacking width. There is a temptation to go narrow. There is actually a temptation to go fairly wide. But I'm actually going to leave it standard and let them decide. It also means that what we do, thank you very much. Goodmanson thinks it's Alvarez is an amazing deal. Congrats. Thanks, mate. What we will do in this system is if we're in a game where we're dominating possession against a weaker side, move it straight away to positive, slightly shorter like we would do in the diamond. And if it's a game that we're struggling in, there's a world where we could even go more direct on cautious and drop the defensive line. Now, we have loaded up the exact same press as the diamond, because realistically, our 2 best ball winners are in the middle of the park. It allows our players to sit a little bit more narrow without the ball and make us a little bit more congested. It seemed to work in the diamond. In terms of what else we're trying to do, Low crosses is now going to become whipped because I think that's a little bit better on FM. But the rest is staying as is. In terms of what we're doing here, counter press. Main reason I'm going to counter press of hold shape. In the diamond, I feel like you need to hold the shape because we really need the ball so we don't lose the ball, get recounted. In a more traditional 4-2-3-1, where my wingbacks aren't as high, we can probably look to counter, get the wingbacks to go a little bit more adventurous when we win the ball immediately, and off we go. Still looking for the keeper to make sure of his 100% pass completion. Same press, like I mentioned. In terms of the role, slight change. Goalkeeper and defend. Outs is one of those ones that's not the most amazing sweeper keeper. I think in this system, because there's so much more going on ahead of him, goalkeeper defend, simple pass, find a centre-back, that's your job done, make a save, mate. Wingbacks on support, instead of complete wingbacks or wingbacks on attack. Why? Mainly because you can give them a lot of roles. We're playing two inverted wingers, especially on the right-hand side where it's important. I want them to stay wider, cross from the byline, which is going to encourage them to get further forward when they can. And if they do get the ball, to look to beat their opponent and whip from the byline, not from deep. And that allows the inside forward, the inverted winger, and McAllister on an advanced playmaker support to get in the box. And there's a reason why McAllister on an advanced playmaker would get in the box. And we've got that mirrored on both sides. We then have two players in the role. As a deeper line playmaker support, Turam naturally has get into the opposition area, which means he likes to naturally get further forward. So instead of playing Secunda Volante and really letting him commit, and he had a really good year there, in this system, deeper line playmaker, step up in behind McAllister, help him create, and pick your moment to really get forward. But what it'll naturally do is make him get a little bit more ahead of Salcedo. And I don't mind that, because it'll plug up this hole a little. Secondly, Salcedo, just change him into being the ball winner. He's a natural ball winner. 17 natural tackling, physically a bit of a monster, mentally understands what he's doing. Get him on the ball, let him pick it up, still give him the license to run with the ball if he picks it up from deep. But realistically, he's going to sit a lot more this year. Then it gets to McAllister. And why I think he gets in the box, we scroll down and hopefully they'll fix this. He likes to arrive late in the opposition area, and player traits will always override the traits of the position. I feel anyway. I see so many times pre-defense and defensive midfielder likes to get forward that just gets beyond. I think there's going to be times he's going to pick the ball up, play make a little bit. Reason why it's an advanced playmaker support, help plug up this hole as well. Look to roam and pick it up like he does in the system in the 4-3-3. Still look for him to pick up the ball in the channels, but still look to get in the box and supplement the striker. Andreas' role doesn't change from the system that he plays naturally, just he likes it out on the left. Joe Gerhardt doesn't change, he plays the pressing forward, but the role that does change is Alvarez. He's a right footer playing on the right, so by getting him to sit even narrower on an inside forward role on standard width means I really think if you take this pitch here, he's going to sit somewhere in here and play almost as an asymmetric second striker, which does make me at times think moving Scully to wing back on attack, because this rank should be a bit more open, is something I will do and I will play around with. But wing back on support for now. But it also allows me to get him in a position where he can be a goal scoring threat, look to get on some backstick crosses, and look to link up play with Joe Gerhardt. Lastly, pressing forward helps in the press when we do look to win the ball. They are pretty good this year. And that's the reason I want to give you this tactic and have a bit of a chat. It's a balanced formation, could be positive because we would definitely use it against weaker sides, but also allows me to start it in bigger games like Chelsea just gone and not be as open on the back like we were against Chelsea, but at the same stage know when we're dominating, switch to positive and off we go. Lastly, the rest of the team. We've got ball-playing defenders. Salusu has had a really good year. He's a good Premier League player. Satalo, good Premier League player. Both have played a lot of games this year. Our issue is, if they're our best, and then you're looking at Dunk, who's getting over the hill, and then you're looking at Webster, who has only played 7 games all year as a fourth choice centre-back, if I'm going to spend the budget, which is a 56, 57 mil, I think we're screaming out for a centre-back. A big, proper, named centre-back. But if we weren't to sign anyone, just have a look how well this 4-2-3-1 fits the first team and the bench. Lamptey can play the role. Dunk can play the role. Webster can play the role. Tom Roth, even though he's 19 and the game doesn't rate him, is so well-rounded. 6.96 as a backup left back this year. Great. Sivat, former Wonder Kid, very good, can play many of these roles, especially ball winning. And Donath has got the ability to play any of these roles. I might move him to defensive midfield on support. With that broken leg, has not really played enough for me. Or broken ankle, whatever he came to the club with in January. I think he fits. So the midfield too, ticked. Ryan Tolan's fitting a position. Yes, the 18-year-old, the 16-year-old from New Zealand looks good. But he's fitting a position. If you look at the left-hand side, Correa loves it. I would even look at an inside forward if Alvarez goes well to play him. And Ferguson on loan fits the pressing forward. Homegrown, natural talent, has potential, and allows him to play in a position. The only spot you think we could sign is maybe a left-footed right winger. But what I'm thinking is, I think Alvarez will like that role and allows us to play Liam Richardson, who did score the winner against Spurs this year, at 16 to really help his development. Without even making a signing of note or anything, apart from in the 10 where I've already made a signing, we have got a squad that is naturally balanced in this 4-2-3-1. Great to bring that up and great to show you. It does also hopefully mean that it should lead to some good performances because this kind of morphs a very good 4-1-2-1-2 narrow with a bit of the 4-3-3. And those systems will never leave us because they've had a really good year. But this fits the squad that we have. It allows all our best players to get in their right areas and allows all our bench players to play in their best areas to impact the game. Lastly there, YouTube, and yeah, Renung, I'll talk to you about sharing the tactic elsewhere. We've already made the midfield 10 signing. Mateus wanted to leave, played only 3 games with Atletico, and then nothing. He's that good. Can play left, right, up front. More importantly, I think in games we're dominating, as much as McAllister's great, we could take him off. Shadow striker off the bench, attacking mid, because we know it's good, and he fits it so well. Pace to burn, dribbling ability, flair, only wanted to come for 11.25 million. And is happy to be a rotation player looking like this, which makes no sense. But I'm happy. So let me know in the comment section, now that the season's over, now that we've sat down for 20 minutes, half an hour, 40 minutes, however long it's been thinking about the tactic, do you think that switching from the diamond to the 4-2-3-1 will work because it fits all our best players in the system? I think it has the potential to. I know it didn't work in Season 1, but we're a little bit more advanced now. 2 DMs instead of 2 centre mids. I think there's potential. Let me know. If you have enjoyed this tactical breakdown, give it a like. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. On top of that as well, follow us live on Twitch where you can watch this VOD back. It is the VOD where we didn't finish in Europe on the final day. Watch the extra half an hour afterwards. And we will come back with any sort of signings or some highlights throughout pre-season to really break down this tactic as YouTube. Brighton qualify for Europa Conference League. Why? How? We're in Europe. What? How? Who? Did? What? Oh my God, Liverpool won the Champions League, that's why. Liverpool won the Champions League. No, they didn't, they lost the Champions League. Why? What? That makes no sense. It says Liverpool won the Champions League, but you go to their schedule, they lost it to Bayern 1-0. It's a glitch. It's glitched. I don't care. Right now it says we're in the Conference League. Save the game. At the moment, Brighton are in the UEFA Conference League because apparently Liverpool won the Champions League, but they didn't according to the schedule and they didn't according to Bayern's schedule. Let's go check Bayern's schedule because that makes no sense. Okay, the game saying that Liverpool win the Champions League final, Champions League, which makes no sense because it means they would have had to win the Champions League and they didn't. I am sure this will be overturned. Somehow that's moved Everton and Arsenal to the UEFA Europa League, which has moved me into the Conference League. Well, that's a shock. We'll take it. We'll take it. We'll take it. I'll see you guys in a second for any signings or to let you know if we're officially actually in the Conference League or not. Welcome back, YouTube. I've already made a centre-back signing and it's the 12th of June. And, well, it wouldn't be a English save without me picking this boy up, to be fair. He's my favourite centre-back I've ever used on Football Manager. I had him in my Fulham save last year because he's actually at Fulham. And he was fantastic. I had him at Metz and he turned into the world's best centre-back at Metz. And he was elite at Fulham as well. And I love the guy. If you guys haven't watched the Metz save, which is on YouTube, I loaned him in for 3 consecutive years for Manchester City. Manchester City really wanted to keep hold of him. Tosson really wanted to stay. In the end, Man City never offered him a bid. And with 6 months to go, I offered Tosson a contract. And he turned down the likes of Newcastle and Porto and Milan and everything to join little old Metz because I was part of his favoured personnel. And we went on to win the Champions League. Good story. And then with Fulham, we were unbelievable on my Twitch save last year. So in he comes, 28 mil. I think that's 28 mil was spent. That is his release fee. He wants to come to us because we're playing in a European competition, which makes no sense, but it still says we are in Europe, which is great. We'll make the signings before anything happens. Hence why I went for him straight off the bat. Secondly, Arsenal wanted him. And I was like, Arsenal ain't going to come. Arsenal ain't going to make the bid before I do. The reason why I love him on FM is he's 6'5", which is a big tick. Secondly, very, very good physicals. Always has had him. As a ball-playing defender, great. Got good first touch, decent passing, great vision. Always likes to try and kill a ball out from the fence and loves to switch plays wide, which if we're playing a 4-2-3-1 and we got some really good cracking wide players, even though they start inside forwards, if you can still find their feet and let them drive with it, that's great. Could also fill out at right back if needs be. Lastly, if you have a look on that squad comparison there, according to our scouts, you think Satalo and Salisu are just that good as well. It's a very good signing. Are they? Probably not. I don't think they are, but that's according to our assistant. Let's welcome Tosson back home. He's back with me. He's 26. Sign him in his prime. One of the better centre-backs in the league. And that is your big name signing. I said we needed a centre-back. We've done it early to avoid Arsenal getting him in. And ask Dunk to welcome him in, who might be going out the door to fund some more moves. And that's the other thing, is we're definitely going to look to sell someone in order to fund moves. Now, I'm going to put him in there over Dunk. If you compare Tosson with Dunk, you can see why he's that little bit better. Dunk is not too bad, and then Tosson's like, boop, thank you very much, right? If you look at Satalo with Tosson, right? Yet again, Tosson's physicals. He's just world-class because he's so physical. The ball goes over the back of his head. He's going to chase and win. He's so good on the ball, so he's a great ball-playing defender. Yeah, mentally he's a little bit whatever. Defensively, at times whatever. But every year on FM, the guy, because he's so physically a monster, sweeps up everything. And I love him. And you compare him to Salisu, who's probably his closest comparison, right? Makes you really appreciate how good the guy is on the ball when you see that 14 vision versus Salisu, who gets caught on it a fair bit. But they do complement each other well because Salisu is a better defender, better mentals, and has actually better physicals as well, according to the game. If you look at that, though, tell you who has the better physicals. That's Tosson. It's only because the strength, the stamina, and the strength is higher on Salisu. There's some really good players. Makes you really appreciate how good Josip Sestalo is too. But that right there makes us look better at the back. Definitely means I'm going to probably look to sell Webster this year. And to be fair, if a bid comes in for Salisu or Satalo, I would sell to fund another full choice centre-back. 22 mil we have left in the kitty. Still room to move. And we still also have we've got Mateus that's officially signed as well. And yeah, our coaches love him and think he's really good, which I do too. And, there will be a time where I think we're going to get him in and play inside forward on the left-hand side when Andreas is injured. But Andreas will keep him out the team. What I will do there, YouTube, is it's not going to be the end of the episode for this episode. I'm going to turn this into a bit more of a breakdown of the system, the 4-3 system, and any future big name signings. And keep this one little episode of a lot of parts that break down the 4-2-3-1, apologies, in pre-season. But what I'll do, I'll see you guys in a second for any bits of gameplay about the 4-2-3-1 or another big name signing or big name sale if one does come about. Oh, it doesn't want to end. We don't want to end the YouTube episode. We don't want to end this part of the episode. It wants me to stay. In that case then, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Why haven't you done it? We're weird, we're wacky, we're different. Do it. Do it now. It's a red button down below. Welcome back, YouTube. I've come back home from work and we've made a sale, which I think I'm going to put in episode 19 because in real life, this guy is very good. Unfortunately, in Football Manager, hasn't put in the performances, was the 4th choice centre-back. I'd rather keep Dunk because he's captain material. Adam Webster is on his way out. We managed to get 19 million for the 29-year-old centre-back. Does have some really good pace and jumping reach, which is okay natural fitness at 6'3", but he's a whole round of well-rounded nothingness, which is maybe a little bit harsh. But he's a very well-rounded centre-back, probably for what we're trying to achieve, which is get into Europe and be in that top half consistently and, finish top 8 consistently from here on out in the save. Probably not the guy that you need. So at 19.25 mil, with it being all up front and allowing it to go into the balance, which we've already got 48 mil with 200k in the wage budget available, this sale will fund me another centre-back if we need to go for it. Because if I can keep a hold of Salisu, I will. But at the same stage, if an offer comes in for Sotalo or Salisu, we will look maybe to sell. Porter tonight as well in this episode, Leeds made a bid for Lamptey. 52 mil they made. I accepted it within a heartbeat. He then turned down because they weren't giving him big enough wage and a bigger squad player. I then tried to renegotiate into a squad deal role. He wants to be a star player. If the right bid comes in for Lamptey, we're going to definitely look to sell. I've toiled with the idea of listing him, but Arsenal interested, so I want to hold on, hoping Arsenal bid about 50 mil. But he's another player that could go out. Anyhow, to recap, Webster, on his way out, it is 19.25 million. In real life, a big player for Brighton. In Football Manager terms, though, he is someone that we definitely can afford to sell. I've also made a few coaches signings there, but we're not here for that. In terms of what we're going to do for the rest of this episode, it's either going to come back with a pre-season recap of a few games here. I've only played one as well. We're still in the UEFA Conference League third round of qualifying, which might be next episode as well. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to recap how the system went against Crawley, Pittsburgh, North Carolina, and Blackpool. Pick a couple of the nice goals to show you and end the episode of either assigning some of those goals or just a little bit of talk about the tactic and what we've seen in pre-season before we get into our Conference League third qualifying round game, which is what we're going to play next episode. YouTube. I haven't even simmed more than a few days. I've got my dinner here. I've got some, burgers, buttered fish, chips. And I've come to settle in for my night of Football Manager. First thing I see is that they're reporting a tycoon wants to take over Brighton and want to invest large sums of money and in new players and facilities. I'm all for this. Fingers crossed it happens. I'd be interested to see how much money they would give us. And maybe this episode is going to expand into something quite interesting. But a tycoon eyes Brighton. This could be interesting. Welcome back, YouTube. And we're going to end the episode here and a bit of a chat about the 4-2-3-1. It looked okay in pre-season and it had some moments. This might be a little bit knee-jerky. This Dortmund game we're going to have to break down. Firstly, played okay, never really dominated. There was against Blackpool. I tried to play it on the break of 4-2-3-1 and they started to dominate, went back into the normal system. We were dominating the game anyway. There's a goal against North Carolina I want to show you because it highlights what I want to see happen. It's definitely our second goal because McAllister gets the assist. And then we need to talk about what happened against Dortmund. So have a look here if we go back. It's a Scully throw-in, so it comes from a throw-in highlight. But McAllister picks up the ball here and he just drifts into space, which is what I want to see him do. Tosin, Sivert, Thuram, McAllister, picks the lock, Andreas. Just good sideways movement. Just goal. Lovely, right? And then we have a look at the Dortmund game. And look, to be fair, losing to Dortmund ain't a bad thing. But there's a lot to talk about. Mokoku's very, very good. I get that. I understand. Dortmund side that they lined up with, pretty damn good. Hazard, Brandt, Mokoku. Yeah, it's a very good midfield. Jude Bellingham killed it. And the back four, maybe not as good as what it was. And yeah, they did bring people off the bench, which is fine. We're 3-0 down early. Now, one of these goals, I'm going to say, is one of those things that, it is what it is. It was a defensive mistake. I might show you the goals here quickly. Thing is, at halftime, I was like, let's just see what the Diamond will do, and I'm going to play these boys to the 75th minute. And in the Diamond second half, we won the second half 3-1. Defensive mistake, Football Manager. That happens, even to the great Tossin. Poor Toch. And then they hit me on the break, coast to coast, no real press. I just feel like in the 4-2-3-1, because the wingbacks are on support, when we really need them to get high and wide, they don't. And then when we need them to not get high and wide, they try to. So it's a bit backwards, and then we concede a corner. So, yes, they're 3 goals in isolation. That one's a defensive mistake, one the ball's fallen to them after they broke us down, which, still a legitimate goal. And one's a corner. So you read into it, you're 3-0 down. But then if you have a look at the play that we get when we're on the ball, in the Diamond, we've moved into the Diamond now. Ball movement, bang, bang, Alvarez back stick, 1-0, thank you. Well, 3-1 down, but still looking good. Mokoku free kick. So they've scored a defensive mistake, a free kick and a corner out of their 3 out of their 4 goals. And then, look, yet again, we win the ball high, Stupin's in the right area, straight away, ball in, bang. In the Diamond, we just look cutting edge. And then it brings back the old adage of, I know we want to switch 4-2-3-1 to get players in our best positions. Fred winning the ball high and he goes on a run and scores, which is nice, off the bench. I know we've got to get players in our best positions, which the 4-2-3-1 does. McAllister in his best role. Alvarez in a very good role. Andreas in his best role. Joe Geldhart in his best role. Thuram in his best role. Still get a Stupin and Scully in their best role. On paper, that all sounds great, but when you come up against Dortmund and they put 3 past you easy, and then you switch into the system you used last year, which beats Chelsea on the final day, has theoretically got us into Europe, which will be next episode, makes you think, why are we switching? Yet again, when you look back at the Diamond and you go on and trying to work out a team, yes, there's a couple of boys that aren't fit here and doing whatever. You need to get people in the right positions, and Andreas is one. Best position's definitely left. Has had good performances in the attacking mid. We've had shouts to maybe play him up front as an advanced forward, but that means dropping Alvarez or Joe Geldhart. And Geldhart's definitely our best pressing forward, so you can't do that. And Alvarez on his own right, we need to get him playing because you just saw it there. Even against Dortmund, moments of quality. Which then makes you think, what do you do with this guy? And we spent all last year trying to find a way to get him to play in an area that got him a good match rating, and we never really did, which was annoying. There's part of me that maybe wants to go to that get Thuram in there as well. Box to box, he likes box to box. I'm happy with him being box to box. And maybe getting McAllister in this back line in the advanced playmaker, which he would play in the 10 anyway, and get hopefully a little bit of carry out of him. Halfback doesn't change in the system because he sits in and makes the 5 at the back, which is huge. Which means you go on something like that. And yet again, you're looking at the team and you're going, okay, is that what you're going with? Yet again, it does. Andreas is in a not bad role, and McAllister's in a not bad role. Thuram's in a good role for himself. Geldhart and Alvarez up top could be dynamite. It allows a Stupin to get further forward, which I think is great. Scully can pick and choose his moments, which I think is great. More infamous than us playing out from the back, which helps Tossin. After this whole episode, potential takeover, which is still in apparently happening in, FM being FM, that we'll just get a news article saying it's happened or not. And after what we've seen in pre-season, against the lesser sides, there's a potential. And I might train the 4-2-3-1. But yet again, in any big game like we faced in Season 1, one big moment, a lot of people having 4-2-3-1 work well. I played Dortmund in one big game, bang, you've shipped 3 goals and you're 3-0 down. Am I going to play it against Roma? Probably not. I'll play the Diamond and see how the Diamond goes. Which makes me go, you know what? The 4-2-3-1 experiment on paper sounded great. I'm going to err with caution, and I think we're going to play like this and just try and somehow get some sort of returns out of McAllister from a deeper line, which I think hurts him dramatically. I think this hurts him dramatically. Yes, it allows him to pick up the ball and hopefully, get it. Ronin playmaker, he never got anything out of. Mazzala, he's too defensive, a constrictive role and support. We played him as a centre mid on attack in Season 1. We just got shipped goals over the top as teams would break us down because he was in the box. So hopefully him just trying to pick up the ball, sit in the hole, will help. And he can still tackle if needed. He is not a bad box-to-box midfielder. I will say that. That maybe he's a box-to-box midfielder. And to be fair, maybe that's what we need to do. Is get him as a box-to-box midfielder. Get McAllister as the box-to-box midfielder and then get Tarum in a role which is a bit more defensively minded. Maybe a Carrillo. Maybe we go and get Tarum as a Carrillo and just get him to sit in and just win the ball and pass it. Maybe that's the play. Maybe it's McAllister in there and a Carrillo that just picks the ball up in space and does whatever. And get him to take a few more risks when he's on the ball in build-up. And I think that's not a bad idea. And mark a touch tighter. And maybe that's what we go with. Maybe it'll be McAllister's a box-to-box because he hasn't been able to play that role because we've always had someone else. Get Tarum and a Carrillo, play them as a two workman-like midfield, allow Andreas to do his thing, get Alvarez and Joe Geldhart up top. Maybe that's what we go to. I think that's the way I'm leaning. So after all this episode and talking about 4-2-3-1, and this is going to be a very lengthy episode, after watching what I watched against Dortmund, we are live on stream, so links down below, and if you have enjoyed this video, give it a like, do subscribe. I think that at the end of the day, the system that made us finish in 8th, the 4-1-2-1-2, with the, with having the complementary 4-3-3 is probably the best way to go about it, and just leave the 4-2-3-1 for now. Maybe against really weak opposition, trial it out. If I win 8-9-0 in my first game here against Rosenborg in 7 days' time, we'll do it. And then maybe I'll play the 4-2-3-1 at home and see what happens. In terms of this episode, that's going to be the end of it. Next episode is going to be a qualifying game in Europe. Now, there is a potential that we go and pump this opposition, then it will be the final qualifying game. And maybe both. If we're somehow in a tie and it's going to be difficult, you'll see the home tie next episode. You never know what could happen on this FM. We could just get FM both legs. From Damo and everybody else here, I'll see you next time. Thank you for the lengthy episode, a little bit of the tactical breakdown. If you have enjoyed it, do let me know in a comment. And what would you like to see me do this year in terms of tactically? As always, you will see this episode with me being in Sydney playing poker. So there is links to my poker channel on Insta if you want to keep up to date with that. But more importantly, when I see your comment, I'll probably be home and played a few games of the season as well. So do keep an eye out. Till then, thank you and goodbye.